Well, how are you? Very excited to chat with you today about how I wrote my newest book in just 3 days. And really, when I break it down, just in a couple of hours. So I'll be walking you through the steps that I did to accomplish that. So, hi, I'm Dr. Beth Brombos. I'm in less than a week. And in fact, in just 3 days. And I'll be honest, in one of those days, I didn't even do work on my book. And the reason why I did this is because I wanted to test this out as a proof of concept, that I wanted an example to be able to show my followers that if they follow this framework that I teach, that they can write a book really, really quickly. And so that's exactly what I did. So I have been blogging since 2012 over on my fitness blog. About 20, I think about 2013 or so, after I've been blogging for about a year, I started to get really serious about creating what's often called by bloggers as evergreen content. So solid content that provides really great information to my readers. I come from a science background. I taught at the college level for many years as I was getting my graduate degrees. And so I love teaching. It's something that came pretty naturally to me. And so when I had the opportunity to teach through my blog, I, of course, jumped on that. And so I have a lot of informative articles on my blog. It's one of my favorite things to write about. So for this test book that I wrote and published in just a week, again, I wrote it in about 3 days and then took a couple days off. And then when I came back to format it, that actually took me the most amount of time because I was trying a new platform with which to publish it. But the actual writing part went very quickly, and that's because I was able to take all of that content that I had been writing for years and use it as the first draft to my book. So what I did, I knew that I wanted to take a lot of my blog posts that would be great resources for somebody who's just getting started with yoga. And I went through and using the categories that I keep in my blogs to organize things. I'm on WordPress, so I just went into the categories part under all of my posts and pulled up the Yoga for Beginners categories. And I grabbed a couple others that were in different locations. But so I essentially copied and pasted those into Scrivener, which is the software that I use to write. If you're doing this, you could post it into a Google Doc or even into Microsoft Word, whatever software it is essentially that you use to write your book. So I copied and pasted, and I had well over 10,000 words just sitting there. I think it was like 13,000 or something. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but I was actually shocked by how much I had from just literally copying and pasting. And so what I did in Scrivener was I created a different little text section that for each blog post. And then what was great about that is within Scrivener, and again, it's a piece of software, it's like $40. It's not that expensive, and I really recommend it, especially if you're going to be writing a couple of books. What that allows you to do is easily drag and drop different sections of text to different areas, and it just makes it super easy to play around with the organization as well. And so that's what I did. I started to organize the blog posts into groups that made sense. And then those groups became sections, and each post became a chapter. And so that whole process of just copying and pasting and then organizing into sections, making the flow of the book make sense. So just kind of organizing the order of the blog post, that took me just about 45 minutes, so not very long at all. There were a couple cases where I thought, oh, hey, I know I've written a blog post about this, and that would go really well in that section. And so I copy and paste either a section or a full blog post, and just to kind of fill it out and make sure everything was really well-rounded. After that, I edited everything. Again, I just did this in Scrivener. And so it was a Sunday where I had a little bit of free time. I think the baby was napping, and I copied and pasted everything again, about 45 minutes. Monday, I was a little busier. So Tuesday, I had some extra time, and actually, the baby slept for an hour longer than she usually did, which gave me an extra hour to edit. So that day I spent, I think, total about 3.5 hours editing the book. And this is I think the final manuscript was a little over 15,000 words. So I moved through it pretty quickly. I added material, obviously, because that length that count is longer than just the copy and paste count. And I went through, made sure that it all flowed correctly, made sure that I was covering all of the topics that I needed to. And so, less than 5 hours later, I was done with a manuscript of the book. I did a quick scan for spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes and things like that using Microsoft Word. So in Scrivener, you can export the entire manuscript to a Word document. So I did that. I pulled up, I just used the grammar and spell check within Microsoft Word, and I was done with the manuscript for my book. Again, it's not a core piece of content for me. If it ever becomes that, I'm sure I will go back and edit it and add more. But this is a book that I think will still be helpful for audience members who are looking to get started with yoga, who need a little bit of extra help, and especially need help beyond just learning yoga poses. This book really teaches them the basics of a lot of the mental part of yoga, and just getting more out of your yoga practice, how to use yoga for stress relief. Because if you just go to a class and just go through the poses, you may not feel that stress relief. So there's some coaching on that sort of thing. So it's sort of helping them take it to a slightly more intermediate level without being totally overwhelming. So again, this book is going to be helpful for my readers and for readers who will find it on Amazon. I have it priced very competitively, and I think that it's going to help people. So I don't feel guilty about just, getting most of it written by copying and pasting my blog posts, because I know my blog posts are valuable. I've added to it. I've added more examples to it. I went further in depth. I explained things a little bit more in the book. So it's not identical to what people will find on my website. But at the same time, again, it's going to be super valuable for people, even if it was the exact same thing. If I just copied and pasted blog posts, there's a lot of great material, and it's nice to have it all in one book that they can take home and read through at their leisure, when they don't have Wi-Fi, or there are a lot of people out there who just prefer to have that printed book too. So the take-home messages for this story and this video. Number one, it doesn't have to take a lot of time for you to write your book, especially if you've been blogging on a certain topic for a while. You can absolutely reuse the material that you've done, and I encourage you to. The same is true if you're a vlogger, if you have a YouTube channel, if you do a lot of Facebook Lives. You can use this process as well. Just get a transcript of audio or video, whatever you prefer to do, and use that as the basis for your book. So again, it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It doesn't have to be hard if you've been a content creator for a while. If you're just getting started, consider creating content and using that as a basis to build a following. And then when you're ready, take that content and repurpose it so that you can get your book written fast. And then again, it took me maybe 5 hours total to format the book. Maybe even a little bit less than that. That is, of course, because I've done the book formatting before, that just this time, and I'm going to talk about this in the future a little bit more, I tried publishing through KDP instead of CreateSpace. mostly to see the difference. For those of you doing a side-by-side comparison, again, I'll talk about this more. You do get slightly higher royalties publishing with KDP. I feel like I'll probably stick with CreateSpace for as long as they'll let me. I've heard some rumors that Amazon's trying to shift everything over to KDP and away from CreateSpace. But for now, I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. But I hope that this inspires you to think about how you can repurpose all of the content you've been busting your hump to create. And I hope that this opens your eyes to the possibility too that it really may not take you a lot of time to put together your book, especially if you've got a lot of content already created. So if you want somebody to guide you through that whole process, I do actually have a free workbook to help you get your book put together really quickly, in even just a few hours if you've got a big chunk of time to sit down and if you've got a lot created. To get that, go to bloggertoauthor.com/download. I'm going to type that into the comments real quick. So we've got that. But again, that's just bloggertoauthor.com/download. And that will take you to, of course, that's cut off, bloggertoauthor.com/download. That will take you to the correct place where you can sign up to get that free workbook. It's going to take you through all the steps you need to plan your book and get it put together so that you can become an author really, really fast. So make sure you grab that. Leave any comments you have about this video in the comments or questions, leave them in the comments, and I will see you all soon. Have a great day.